Hello and welcome to another Pauper gameplay video by Ready Made Gaming. Today we have Nono-White Heroic facing off against Atog Affinity. So here we have a brief introduction to some of the cards that are featured in both decks. The Nono-White Heroic deck contains cheap white creatures with the heroic keyword. Heroic is whenever a spell targets the creature, it'll trigger. In this case, for the Trailblazer and for the Sky Guard, they get a +1/+1 counter. There's a number of protection spells as well. On the Atog Affinity side, you play creatures and spells with the Affinity keyword, and your game plan after running out cheap and efficient threats is to fling a large Atog at your opponent. So you get to play with artifact lands, which is just sweet in Pauper. They're not banned like they are in Modern. And you have access to Galvanic Blast, which for Metalcraft deals 4 damage for 1 red, which is a great rate. You have cheap threats like Mirror Enforcer and Frogmite. So here's our opening hand for game 1. Joe will be on the play with a Fling, Mirror Enforcer, 2 Prophetic Prism, 2 Darksteel Citadel, and a Seat of the Synod. He'll mulligan his Fling to the bottom. I will be on the draw, playing Nono-White Heroic with a Secluded Step, 2 Lagona Band Trailblazer, a Hyena Umbra, Karamesh's Blessing, a Plains, and a Chomeno's Blessing. Joe's on the play. He starts with a Darksteel Citadel and passes the turn. I have a 1-lander here, but a 1-lander with a Trailblazer is just perfectly fine. So I'll lead on Plains Trailblazer. For Joe's second turn, he'll play a Seat of the Synod and a Prophetic Prism to draw a card. So there's a Cartouche of Solidarity. So that targets the Trailblazer to give it a heroic trigger, give it a +1/+1 counter, make a Vigilant Warrior token, and allow me to attack in for 2 with Vigilance. It's either Vigilance or First Strike the Cartouche gives me. I guess it's First Strike because my creature's tapped. So we'll swing in for 2. Joe will go to his third turn. Draw. I think he still has a land in his hand from at least his opener, so we could see a free Frogmite here. Going to start off by tapping some mana. There's another Prophetic Prism. So we could see a Frogmite and a Mirror Enforcer here. Oh wow, okay. I guess there's no Frogmite to come. If there was a Frogmite, it would have been a pretty explosive turn. So I will draw for my turn after Joe plays the star and passes. And I will attack. I will cast a Hyena Umbra, targeting my Trailblazer to trigger Heroic again. And I will attack with the token as well for a total of 5 damage here. Very aggressive start. The Trailblazer is very important. Generally speaking, I will mulligan to a Trailblazer and a way to cast it. There's another Prism for Joe. He's Prism flooded. I mean, his mana is going to be perfect for however long this game goes, but he needs to get some battlefield presence. He's already looking at a 4/4 with Totem Armor and First Strike, so that Mirror Enforcer is not particularly good here. There's a second Plains. That probably unlocks a number of cards in my hand. There's another Hyena Umbra. So now it's First Strike, First Strike, First Strike, Totem Armor, Totem Armor. Swing in there for 6. There's a chump from the Mirror Enforcer. Or not a Benevolent Bodyguard. That card's an insurance policy for any targeted kill spell here. But there's already so much protection on that Trailblazer that I don't see Joe being able to work his way through the 7/10 toughness creature, whatever it is. Also, the Bodyguard is interesting here because it can give pro green to swing through the Carapace Forager. Thinking about our plays here. Joe cracked the star, so his battlefield is 3 lands, 3 prisms, and 2 chump blockers. I believe he has 3 or 4 cards in hand. Can't see that very clearly from here. I have 2 lands, it looks like 3 cards in hand, and 1 giant centaur. Just keep attacking. There's a chump block from... I actually would have, I think, chump blocked with a Carapace Forager just because of the Benevolent Bodyguard play that we talked about. So next turn, if I, let's say, have a pile of enchantments, I can throw them all in the Trailblazer and then sack the Benevolent Bodyguard, give it program. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. There was an Emerge Unscathed as well. So we'll move on to sideboards. I'm going to bring out 2 Benevolent Bodyguards and a Chomano's Blessing for 3. I believe that's Return to Dust, which is exile 2 artifacts. That's pretty good. And Joe's going to bring in some cards that fight over the Sky Fighter, the Sky Guard, Clan Shaman, and Electrickery to try to kill my 1/1 before I can start throwing enchantments and targeting with things. It doesn't really do too much against the Trailblazer, but that is true for the majority of his deck outside of Galvanic Blast before I can get any targeting abilities on it. But there's also Mutagenic Growth, so I will lead on the turn 1 Plains Trailblazer. For Joe's second turn, after running out the Shaman, he will play a Prophetic Prism along with a second land. There's an Ethereal Armor. That card's gross. The text box on that card is kind of egregious for 1 mana. I think Ethereal Armor is in every deck that revolves around auras, in every format that a deck like that exists in, from Modern, if there's one in Legacy, I don't know if there's one in Historic, Pioneer, whatever. So Joe will lay a 3rd land here, get to cast a 1 mana Thoughtcast, which is sweet. There's a Carapace Forger, so in combination with the Forger and the Shaman, he might be able to kill the Trailblazer, but I have a lot of cards in it, and now I have 3 mana on the battlefield. So there's a Cartouche. It's going to bring along with it a 1/1. And Joe is going to concede there. He is just too far behind, and he's chump blocking for the rest of the game. Yeah, there's a Chomano's Blessing. That's gross. Yeah, it's a bummer. That's a tough matchup. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by, watching, and check out some more videos, and, hopefully some games in the future are a little bit longer than 5 minutes.